back to the Magnus Carlsen chess saga. In today's video, we are going to be seeing yet another exciting and brilliant chess miniature that Magnus Carlsen played against Peter Svidler. I would like you to watch the video till the end because we have a stunning checkmate by Magnus Carlsen, and not only that, we have a chess puzzle at the end, so try to solve it as well. This game was played in the GRENKE Chess Classic and this is the penultimate round. Both players are fighting to win the game. Peter Svidler, who is having the white pieces, opens the game with pawn to e4, and if you play pawn e4, you will face the Sicilian defense, and this is what Magnus plays. Magnus goes c5. The Sicilian defense is on the board. Knight to f3, knight to c6, knight to c3 and pawn to e5. Black gains control over the d4 square. Bishop to c4, bishop to e7, pawn to d3 and pawn to d6. So you can see that black and white are going for a positional struggle rather than a tactical struggle. They are developing their pieces rather timidly, but okay, this is all standard theory. After d6, knight to d2. White wants to go knight to f1 and knight to e3, but this knight to d2 move can be considered as a dubious move as it blocks off the own bishop's diagonal. Knight f6, knight to f1, knight to d7. Now black wants to go knight to b6 and attack the bishop. So Peter Svidler goes knight to d5. Knight b6. Here knight captures b6 was played, and instead of playing queen captures b6, Magnus Carlsen goes a captures b6, and this is the best move. If you go queen takes b6, then white can execute his idea with knight e3. After you go bishop e6, white would just go knight d5, and after bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, and yes, it is a better position for white due to his power of the two bishops. After knight takes b6, a takes b6, c3, castles, and knight to e3. White wants to go knight to e5, and here is where Magnus Carlsen comes up with a brilliant plan. Bishop to g5, and what's the plan? If you go knight to d5, then after bishop takes c1, queen takes c1, bishop to e6, black would play bishop takes d5 and he would eliminate the knight. So Peter Svidler was clearly surprised by this move. After bishop to g5, he went castles. King to h8. Now black wants to go f5 and bust open the position with f4, a3. And this was the first slight inaccuracy by Peter Svidler. Bishop to d2 was played by Vishy Anand, and Vishy Anand had secured a brilliant victory against Vasily Ivanchuk. Vasily went f5 and he went knight takes f5, but okay, Peter Svidler comes up with a new move. He goes a3 and Magnus doesn't wait for any much timer. He goes f5. Knight takes f5, bishop takes c1, queen takes c1, bishop takes f5, e takes f5 and d5. Now the pawn is attacking the bishop, bishop back to a2 and rook takes f5. So you can see that Magnus Carlsen has stealed the initiative from Peter Svidler. Peter had a slightly better position, but after rook takes f5, it's all Magnus now. Queen g4 attacking the rook, rook to f6, and Peter Svidler goes f4 here, and I would say that this move is definitely a mistake. Magnus immediately goes e takes f4 and queen to g5. And what's the idea with rook takes f4? Then black would get knight e5 attacking the queen. Queen g3, rook takes f4, queen takes f4, and after knight takes d3, he would win the rook or the queen. So after e takes f4, white went queen g5. Now white is threatening queen takes f4. And that's the idea, my friends. Peter Svidler thought that Magnus was going to defend the d5 pawn with knight e7, but this clearly gives white a better chances of actually even winning the game with rook takes f4. And after rook takes f4, queen takes f4, white's position is far more superior because the bishop has a real target, which is the d5 pawn. But okay, after queen g5, Magnus simply goes queen f8. He sacrifices the d5 pawn instead. Queen takes d5, rook to d8, queen to f3 and knight to e5. The black knight is attacking the queen, and this is the move that Peter Svidler seemingly overlooked. If you go queen takes b7, then black just goes f3. And black's position is just better here. Black is threatening f takes g2. You cannot stop all threats. So after knight e5, queen e4, Peter Svidler is attacking the knight, but knight to g4. Now black wants to go knight to e3 and attack the rook. Rook to e1, knight to e3, and after rook to f2, rook to e8, queen takes b7. You can see the power of this e3 knight. There is no piece that can challenge this e3 knight, and as it can be said, this knight on e3 is actually a bone in the throat. Black goes g5 here. Black is threatening g4, g3, and then the position just opens up. Rook to e2, which was actually a blunder. Queen d7 was better, but okay, Peter Svidler was under a lot of pressure. He went rook to e2 and g4. Now black is threatening f3 and the attack is very dangerous. Rook to f2, now the white rook is actually covering the f3 square, but queen h6. Now g3 is a threat because queen f3 is not possible. Queen to c7, the queen is taking control over the g3 square, but now rook to f8. And Peter Svidler thought for a long time here and then he decided, okay, I'm going to lose the game, but I'm going to lose the game in style, and he went h3. If you go g3, you can see that this move is clearly recommended by the engine. Black just goes f takes g3. Queen takes g3, rook takes f2, and after queen takes f2, rook takes f2, king takes f2, black just goes queen f4 check. King to g1, and after queen f3, black threatening queen g2 checkmate, and you should have to play rook takes e3 to deflect the mate. Peter Svidler doesn't want to play this. After rook f8, he plays h3. G takes h3, g3, f takes g3, and Peter Svidler allows a beautiful checkmate with a smile. He goes rook takes f6, and Magnus Carlsen has a forced checkmate in 2 moves. Do you see the correct sequence, my friends? After rook takes f6, you shouldn't really play queen takes f6. You just continue h2 check. And after h2 check, the black knight is covering the g2 and the f1 squares, and this g3 pawn is covering the f2 square. So Peter Svidler went king h1, and after pawn to g2, believe it or not, my friends, Magnus Carlsen checkmated a 2-7-3-5 elo-rated opponent with 2 pass pawns. You can see that in chess, it's not just making good moves, it's all about sportsmanship as well. So after g2 check, white did get checkmated and black clearly won the game in beautiful style. If you like this video, please comment, share and subscribe. I will be visiting you with more chess videos on opening chess traps, puzzles, endgame strategies very soon, so subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future content. Hello friends! As I've already mentioned, I will be giving you a puzzle at the end to solve. It's white's move to play and checkmate the black king in just 4 moves. Do you see the correct move? If yes, please do post it in the comment section below along with the analysis. If your answer is correct, I will pin your answer into the comment section below. Thank you and have a great day, friends.